it was like, I want to trust you and I'm happy and I'm wagging my tail, but I'm just not too sure. I drive through Castalia on my way to work. I'm a nurse and I work night shift. Turned from 56 on to 58 and I just saw these two dogs on, the side of the road, and they were trying to eat. It looked like, like roadkill, and there was a bunch of trash on the side of the road. And I was like, oh my God. So, I pulled over and they kind of ran a little bit to the side. She came up, she recognized I was trying to feed her. And so she started to come forward, timidly. But, anyway, she ate the food, and I could see that Manny, I could see the male that he was there with her, but he was much more standoffish. He went further back in the distance, but he was watching the whole time. But I just knew right then, that I had to get them both, both to safety. Neither one had a collar. I could tell, that they were undernourished. And I was behind a house. At the time, I didn't know it was abandoned. Behind the house, there was like this barn type shed. There was just like a little overhang, and the both of them, I startled them and they startled me. They were both curled up and sleeping together and trying to stay dry. It was one of those days where it had finally cleared. There was no more rain. It wasn't like super warm, but it wasn't really cold either. I was tired from work anyway. I had a coat, I had a blanket. It was a nice day. I was tired, and I said, let me just lay down here and see what happens, and maybe they'll get closer or who knows what. So we all took a nap. And I don't know how long it was that we laid there, but when I woke up, they were still sleeping. And I knew that this was like my chance. I was trying to be as quiet as I could, got myself together. I got the slip lead and I got on my hands and knees and I started to crawl towards where Cassie was. I got closer and then she heard something and she sat up real quick and looked. But the way she was facing, she was looking away from me. And so I was like, okay, good. She doesn't know I'm crawling towards her yet. So I got even closer. And then once I was close enough, she did hear me and she turned around. I happened to get close enough, and I think she was still sleepy enough. By the time I lifted my head up, I was able to slip that lead right over her neck. And this was the first time I was actually able to touch her. So while we were sitting there and we were both gathering our wits about us, I just started to pet her and talk to her, and she, did the same tensing up, but she was okay with it. I think she was just in shock. So I picked her up and I carried her and her full belly and put her in the truck. And she went right in the crate and I shut the door. I had been talking to Laura. I had talked to a couple people, and I'm like, if I get her, I need somewhere to take her. And that's how, Laura took her to the adoption center.
So Laura found out about her, and they were trying to trap her. But Laura said, we'd be happy to take her into the program once she was captured. So we knew she was pregnant, but she was so thin. She came into the program February 20th, and then it was just a matter of waiting for the puppies to be born. She had one puppy naturally, and then we sent her to NC State for a C-section to have the rest of her puppies. She was not passing the puppies naturally. She wasn't able to give birth, so she had the one naturally. So she had a total of 11. There was one stillborn puppy in the birth canal, and they think that's why she wasn't able to pass the puppies naturally, which is why they went with C-section. But she had 10 healthy puppies, and then one of the puppies a few weeks later ended up passing away from unknown causes. So after her C-section was completed and they checked over all the puppies, they went ahead and spayed her. So she is now spayed. And they tested her for heartworms, Lyme disease, and Ehrlichia, which are Ehrlichia and Lyme are tick-borne. She tested positive for all of them. She has started her treatment for heartworms and the tick-borne diseases. So Cassie ended up with mastitis, which is basically a bacterial infection in the mammary gland. With the puppies nursing, it caused a tear in one of her nipples. So we started her on antibiotics. One of the best ways to treat mastitis is with cabbage. So I was wrapping her with cabbage several times a day. It helps with engorgement and helps just kind of release inflammation. She only had 5 working nipples and she had 10 puppies. So we were doing a lot of rotating and supplement feeding. After the puppies were born, she was eating pretty good. And then when she ended up with the mastitis, I think just the mastitis itself and all of the antibiotics, she just did not want to eat. So then we went to cottage cheese. The vet school recommended us give her that just so she had some extra calcium. Once I figured out what she wanted, feeding her that consistently, and now she's just on dry food, like a regular dog, just eating adult food. She has gained quite a bit of weight, so she's like 55 pounds, and she's filled out. Can't see any of her ribs or her hip bones. She looks like a dog. All the puppies went into foster, and then Cassie came to my house. Usually we worry about how the mamas will react once the puppies are taken away from them. I think she was very excited to be able to breathe and not have 9 kids jumping all over her.